Welcome to Dracula Reviews, and today I'm going to review Dracula. Dracula is a 1931 horror film directed and co-produced by Todd Browning from a screenplay written by Garrett Fort. It is based on the 1924 stage play Dracula by Hamilton Dean and John L. Balderston, which in turn is adapted from the novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. Produced and distributed by Universal Pictures, Dracula is the first sound film adaptation of Stoker's novel and stars the legendary Bela Lugosi. Now the question is, does the film still hold up today, and is it worthy of being a classic? Well, let's check it out. The film begins on a quiet road surrounded by ominous mountains and a carriage with 6 people.
I say, driver, a bit slower.
No. Must reach the inn before sundown.
And pie face?
It is Walpurgis night, the night of evil, Nosferatu.
They're just trick-or-treaters. As long as you give them candy, they'll leave you alone. The driver drops everyone off and then talks to a townsfolk about where Renfield, played by Dwight Fry, is going next.
Orgo Pass?
Yes.
Who's scared?
Count Dracula.
Count Dracula's?
Yes.
One of the townsfolk pleads with him not to go to Castlevania.
You mustn't go there. We people of the mountains believe at the castle there are vampires.
And that's not including the other enemies and projectiles you'll encounter. Despite the warnings, Renfield decides to go anyways, but without a gift from the locals. He'll be fine. We cut to Castlevania, where 3 female vampires are rising from their tombs. In the castle, as Dracula, played by the man, the myth, the legend, Bela Lugosi, watches. Then Dracula shows up as a carriage driver and waits for Renfield. Wow, Uber was shittier back then. He enters the carriage, though he is cautious. And they're off. Renfield takes a peek outside and sees the carriage is navigated by a bat. But hey, that's the closest thing they got to GPS in this world. Renfield gets dropped off at the castle entrance, where the door mysteriously opens on its own. And he enters the castle. Good God, Dracula, at least clean your shit. He is then greeted by the infamous Count.
I am Dracula.
I can listen to him all day.
I bid you welcome. Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Unless you're a Karen.
The spider spinning his web for the unwary fly.
Huge steaming ball of foreshadowing.
Apparently, Dracula is a good host. Just look at how he prepared everything for Renfield.
I didn't know, but that you might be hungry. Thank you, that's very kind of you.
Renfield confirms that he's kept his visit to Dracula's castle a secret, and then they discuss the sale of a castle, which is what Renfield came for.
I have chartered a ship. Take us to England. We will be leaving tomorrow evening.
Music to my ears. Renfield then gets a paper cut and Dracula gets thirsty. The cross is one of many weaknesses.
This is very old wine. I hope you will like it.
Aren't you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
Yeah, Dracula's more into Bloody Marys. They say goodnight and Renfield prepares to turn in. And the three vampire chicks enter his room as he passes out from an encounter with a bat. However, Dracula's like,
Bitches leave.
he leans in and it cuts to black. In the next scene, Renfield is shown as Dracula's servant that wakes him up after sunset. They're on a ship on a stormy ocean on their way to London. After they land, the authorities discover the fate of the entire crew, and they find the insane Renfield.
Why, man, look at his eyes. Why, the man's gone crazy.
The newspaper says that Renfield is under Dr. Seward's supervision. Meanwhile, Dracula waits until dark and feasts on a girl selling flowers. Then he goes to the opera and immediately introduces himself to Dr. Seward, played by Herbert Bunston, Mina, played by Helen Chandler, John Harker, played by David Manners, and Lucy. As they chat, Dracula tries to seduce his next victims. Later that night, he visits Lucy while she sleeps. Then she is later examined in an autopsy.
Another death.
On the throat of each victim. Same 2 marks.
Next day, Renfield is shown at the asylum screaming and raving.
Give it to me now. No, Martin, please. No, Martin. Martin, don't throw my spider away from me. Oh, Martin. Spiders now, is it? Flies ain't good enough. Who wants to eat flies? You do, you loony. Not when I can get nice fat spiders.
Spiders, nature's wafers. Then we see Van Helsing, played by Edward Van Sloan, as he is doing blood work on one of the dead victims, and comes to a conclusion.
Gentlemen, we are dealing with the undead.
Nosferatu.
Yes, Nosferatu.
Hey, I haven't reviewed that one yet.
But, Professor Van Helsing, modern medical science does not admit of such a creature. The vampires are pure myth, superstition.
And I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Alright, you better not pull a ghost hunter on us. Both Van Helsing and Dr. Seward meet with Renfield to learn more about Dracula, and Renfield asks to be sent far away.
That sounded like a wolf.
Yes, it is. But I hardly think there are wolves so near London.
Or they're just stray dogs. Renfield gets mad after Van Helsing reveals the truth about the hound with some wolfbane. As he is carried away, Renfield tells Van Helsing that he knows too much to live any longer.
What was that herb that excited him so?
Wolfbane. It is a plant that grows in Central Europe. The natives there use it to protect themselves against vampires.
And werewolves. Van Helsing commands that Renfield is to be watched day and night, but especially night. Dracula stands outside of Renfield's cell and gives him some commands telepathically.
Master, please. Please don't ask me to do that. Don't. Not her.
Do as I command!
Please. Please don't, Master. Don't, please. Please. Oh, no.
Then Dracula flies into Mina's bedroom and bites her on the neck. The following day, Mina is questioned by John Harker. Van Helsing then examines her bite marks.
How long have you had those little marks?
Marks?
When, Miss Mina?
Since the morning after the dream.
What could have caused them, Professor?
Count Dracula.
Yep, the maid solved it. Dracula starts to talk to Mina, and Van Helsing notices Dracula has no reflection. Everyone suggests that she should go to bed so they can stop talking to each other.
I stumbled upon a most amazing phenomenon. Something so incredible, I mistrust my own judgment. Look.
The Count apologizes and leaves.
For one who has not lived even a single lifetime, you are a wise man, Van Helsing.
Harker spots a wolf running across the yard into the night.
He was afraid we might follow. Follow? Sometimes they take the form of wolves, but generally of bats.
Van Helsing tells them that Dracula is a vampire. Then we see Mina walking to Dracula. I don't blame her, just look at him. Suddenly Renfield comes asking about Mina and warns them about Dracula's actions. Then Dracula comes to the window as a bat.
No, no, Master. I wasn't going to say anything. I told him nothing. I'm loyal to you, Master.
Suddenly the maid sees Mina laying in the yard and screams. The three men run out to Mina's aid, and the maid is left alone with Renfield. Well, she's dead. Next day, the asylum staffer reads about a woman in white abducting children.
Narratives of two small girls. Each child describing a beautiful lady in white who promised her chocolates, enticed her to a secluded spot, and there bit her slightly in the throat.
And that's why you don't take candy from strangers' kids. Mina tells Van Helsing about why she went out to the yard. Mina says she saw her friend Lucy, who is now a vampire, wandering in the night looking for a victim as the woman in white.
I started to speak to her. And then I remembered she was dead. The most horrible expression came over her face. She looked like a hungry animal.
Knowing what she also is becoming, Mina tells Harker that she has changed and that they cannot be together as a married couple.
It's all over, John. Our love, our life together. Oh, no. No, no, don't look at me like that. I love you, John.
Harker accuses Van Helsing of putting these thoughts in her head and wants her to go away with him. Van Helsing puts his foot down and prepares for Dracula to return for Mina tonight.
Miss Mina is to wear this wreath of wolfbane when she goes to bed. Watch her closely and see that she does not remove it in her sleep.
I understand, Professor.
And under no circumstances must these windows be open tonight.
Very well, John.
Yeah, and don't smoke it. Van Helsing explained to Harker what Dracula is and convinces him to keep Mina there so they can all protect her. As he agrees, Renfield appears again and warns him of Dracula and his powers.
Renfield, you're compelling me to put you in a straitjacket.
Then do it and throw away the key. Anyways, Renfield rants about his arrangement with Dracula.
Rats. 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 Thousands. Millions of them.
Dracula confronts Van Helsing and tells him that since he knows about Dracula's secret, that he should leave London. Van Helsing tells Dracula he will stay just to kill him. Then Dracula tries to use the Force on Van Helsing.
Your will is strong, Van Helsing. More wolfbane, more effective than wolfbane.
While the couple sit on the balcony, the bat interrupts the two lovers and Mina tries to bite Harker. Van Helsing stops her with a crucifix. Then the staffer fires a gun.
What is it? Who is it, Martin? It's that big grey bat again, sir.
No use of wasting your bullets, Martin. They cannot harm that bat.
He's crazy.
They're all crazy. They're all crazy except you and me. Sometimes I have me doubts about you.
Yes.
I love these two. After Mina goes to sleep, Dracula comes to her room. Meanwhile, Harker and Van Helsing are searching for his lair. They suddenly see Renfield, who leads them right where Dracula sleeps. Then Dracula arrives with Mina and finds Renfield. They spot Mina and call for her. Dracula, thinking he was betrayed, kills Renfield.
Punish me, torture me, but let me live. I can't die with all those lies on my conscience, all that blood on my hands.
Then he takes Mina to his casket. By the time the two men find him, Dracula is asleep and Mina is wandering on her own. Van Helsing finds Dracula's casket and quickly pounds a piece of wood into Dracula's heart. Killing him and setting Mina free from the vampire spell.
I heard you calling, but I couldn't say anything.
We thought he'd killed you, dear.
The daylight stopped him.
And they all lived happily ever after, except for Dracula. After the commercial success of Dracula, Universal released Frankenstein later that same year. Then Universal would become the forefront of early horror cinema with a bunch of films like The Mummy, The Invisible Man, Bride of Frankenstein, and The Wolfman. In 1936, 5 years after the release, Universal released Dracula's Daughter, a direct sequel that starts after the end of the first film, and a second sequel, Son of Dracula, starring Lon Chaney Jr. in 1943. The count will return in 3 more Universal films, with 1944's House of Frankenstein and 1945's House of Dracula, all played by different actors. Lugosi would return as Dracula in 1948's comedy Ballad and Costello Meets Frankenstein. Since its release, Dracula has widely been regarded as a classic of its era and its genre. In 2000, it was selected for preservation in the U.S. National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Also, Lugosi's portrayal is widely regarded as the definitive Dracula, and it became Bela Lugosi's signature role, as well as making his Dracula a cultural icon, and he himself a legend in classic Universal horror films. However, from that moment, Lugosi would don the cape on screen. It would forever see him typecast as a Count. He was even buried with the cape. Personally, I enjoyed the film. The second act is kind of long. To me, the enjoyable parts are the beginning and the end. The cinematography is fantastic, showing its dark and eeriness of the film, and the performances of Bela Lugosi, Dwight Frye, and Edward Van Sloan carry the film. To me, Lugosi's performance as Dracula is one of the most outstanding parts about the film. His Hungarian accent makes Dracula more appealing, yet terrifying, and his presence just brings chills. And also, he brings his A game to this film. Dwight Frye is also good as the maniac Renfield, and Edward Van Sloan as Van Helsing. He brings such authority to the film. Also, since the film doesn't have any music, it gives it more eerie atmosphere, especially when Dracula is on screen. So that was my review of Dracula. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this. Stay safe out there. Goodbye.
What, again? Yes, sir. At once, sir. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Here, the doctor said Lily is loose again.